So the idea is that the world is better off because we are here. We want to be able to offer you, the customer, something a little bit more than any other company out there could offer in terms of creativity, experience of getting your job done in a way that is fun for you or as fun as possible, and as well as the quality of the overall job. So basically, our philosophy is to stay with the design process as much as needed to get everything as creative as possible. So we don't want our customers to say, for example, oh gosh, we did this job and then 3 years later we wish we would have done something else. So we do a very complete job on our design to the point where most of our customers answer 2 or 3 years later they wouldn't have done anything different because we covered all the bases with the design and possibilities that we could have done. So that's number one. And just getting a vision, taking the customer's vision and actually making it a real glorified version of what they want, so that they get something that is maybe a little bit better than they imagined they could have, and they feel appropriately excited when they walk through their new space that we designed together. Well, two of my favorite books are The Fountainhead, number one, and then Atlas Shrugged to follow that, both by Ayn Rand. And the idea behind, say, The Fountainhead was actually written about Frank Lloyd Wright and his kind of a progressive look at architecture and how he did not follow the styles that came before, and he had to forge his way into this architectural environment where he was not accepted at first. And so it's a very interesting book, but it relates to what we do as designers, and having an original thought and following through on that original thought to the degree that we get something a little bit different. But the book itself outlines the work necessary to bring a creative mind to the point where they can actually produce something in the world that's different and elated up above, say, the rest of or elevated above the rest of the crowd. So I highly recommend that. And then Atlas Shrugged follows that by basically looking at the talent of the world and how, if you took away that talent, the world would be a very mundane place. And it's a very incredible book for anybody to read. Well, I've had a bunch of really interesting customers through the years. In the 48 years I've been in business, and we've done jobs for a number of people, like one of the main the heads of the planning department of the county, and other planning officials and other people that are in the business have hired us to do their work. So they had confidence in us. And Mayor of Saratoga, there's a long list of people, and we've gotten into Sunset Magazine and a few other. We were on the cover of Designers Illustrated. But I think the most interesting one was we did one of the main coaches in the 49ers in their heyday, when Joe Montana was winning the games, and his coach Bob McKittrick, and came to us for a kitchen. And I walked in his house, and he was a big guy, maybe 6'4", and his hands were huge, and he had 3 giant Super Bowl rings on his hands. And I just remember that impression of looking up to him and shaking his hand, going, well done. So we did his job, and we've done a lot of other very interesting people's work. Well, I used to have a brochure, and I still do actually, that I have copies of, and the whole thing was about how to choose a contractor. And people are trying to decide, how do I decide on a contractor ahead of time, before I really know who he is, and make sure my job is going to turn out well, quality-wise, design-wise, and the experience is good. And the only guarantee you have is to check very closely on the references, the jobs that customer can see that the contractor has done for other people. And it's not enough to call them on the phone for a reference. You really need to go out and see the job yourself, talk to the people, note the quality. What is quality for one person may not be quality for somebody else. So I highly recommend to go out and see jobs, reference jobs, either taken by the contractor you're getting an estimate from, or by yourself if they allow you to go out and talk to this previous customer. So that way you see a job, you get to talk to the customer, see what the experience was like, the service, the quality, and then you just look it over carefully. And if you see enough of these jobs, you can have as good an idea as any as to who this company is. So that's what we provide. We provide you with references, jobs to see that are similar to yours. After 48 years in business, we have quite a few that are actually, I can select from, say, 100 jobs and pick one that's similar color and style, and you can see a job that's very similar to what you're going to see. And you want to do that legwork. Take the extra couple hours to do that. So a lot of guys that are working for me now have been working for me over 30 years. One of them, his name is Manuel. He's been with me over 40 years, and he knows how to do all aspects of cabinetry, installation, um, sheetrock. I have guys that have been with me a very long time. The average employee was with me about 30 years. Um, for a long time, and it still is very high average. So, I'm not working with newbies, and usually when the person is having their job done, and if, say, their friend had their job done 5 years ago, we probably have the same crews, the same people come out. We're working on jobs now where 30 years ago we did a job, and 3 of the people that I send out there remember that job, and the customer remembers them from that long ago. So it's really nice to have that continuity, and it's not easy to keep somebody with you a long time, and we have done that. So it's a good sign for us.